people ask me what I miss most from being at Kodak, when I was a CMO, managing a $17 billion just marketing budget. And I always say, the people. And then secondly, I say the plane. You miss the plane. You miss the corporate jet.
I can't call him a guest. I got to call him a co-host. Jeffrey Hayzlett. Oh, what a close friend. Jeffrey,
I'm honored. I'd be honored to be a host. And by the way, I love the name of the show, Mind Your Business. I would steal that from you if I didn't like you so much. I would come after you, hunt you down. I would hijack the name.
Now you know why I got to stay close with him. It's always great spending time together. And, of course, we're going to talk about the new book. Before we go to our scheduled questions, our written questions, I want to open with a shout-out to the Hero Club and C-Suite Network. I just want to talk about C-Suite Network for a minute. I've been part of it since 2015. You know how many guests I've had on the show that the relationship started at C-Suite Network?
Oh, I am.
Probably at least 2 dozen.
Yeah.
Probably at least 2 dozen. I'm talking about high level. Our most recent one, Beth Comstock.
Oh, Beth, yeah. Former vice chair of GE, former CMO of NBC. She's one of the classiest professionals out there. You just heard me. I didn't say woman. Just classiest professional. She's been on our board of advisors. In terms of our directors for the company. Just a great, a great gal, great person. Yeah. I really like her a great deal.
And she was on the show. Fantastic. her new book is a great read.
Yeah, she's out on her own now.
Yep.
You leave the mothership and then you get out on your own. Good luck. It's tough. It's tough out there.
And she talks about it. She's very open about what she's going through. And
it's a different game. Because you go from, look, I was at that level. She's a bigger level at that time, but when she's vice chair of GE, because GE is basically growing, 15, 20 billion a year just to grow, just to hit their numbers so they hit their bonuses, that kind of thing. But you look at that, you go from, people ask me what I miss most from being at Kodak, when I was a CMO, managing a $17 billion just marketing budget. And I always say, the people. And then secondly, I say the plane. You miss the plane. You miss the corporate jets. But you get by. You go from having everything planned. When you're an executive at that level, Fortune 100 company. Now, you might think this is a little snotty or a little, braggadocious or whatever, but, literally there are people, when I step out of a trade show door, there's 3 people waiting for me. And someone's got my itinerary, someone's got my egg sandwich, because I like to have an egg sandwich in the morning, and a cup of coffee. Of course, back then it was Diet Mountain Dew, and but now it's just a cup of coffee and the egg sandwich, and then someone's walking ahead of us to go press the elevator button for the elevator so it's open so I don't even have to wait for it.
Seconds.
Yeah, literally.
Seconds are counted.
Carving that time out. They pre-walk the route of the trade shows, where we're going to go. Basically build-in bathroom breaks. All that stuff is handled from the time I get up in the morning till the time I leave in the afternoon. Sorry about my ringtone. Look, I broke the cardinal rule. I had my phone on, and of course it played. Did you hear the ringtone?
Yeah, I heard it.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's mine. Nothing like a cowboy tune. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. That's the first time that's ever happened in the history.
You're good. They're not going to throw me off of this.
Yeah, I just feel bad.
Hey, listen, we also give you a shout out. You behave with the language also.
I do. On my own podcast, I use some very salty language, and I have lots of red marks, on mine. But when I'm with you, I do my best.
Oh, you're great. Even when we're together.
Yeah, I do. Every once in a while, I let slip with something because I get excited. But it's that Lutheran cowboy coming out at me. But I try to be respectful.
You are,
and I've learned a lot. Again, even we talk about religion. You and I get together, we talk about religion.
That's right. That's right. We're respectful.
But it helps. It helps to understand more and more, because I don't know the things I know. Right.
See that? I hit the cough button for you.
Yeah, that was good. Where's your cough button? It's way over there. It's underneath that rack right there.
There we go. I did it.
There we go.
Oh, this is great radio.
Hey, you got a cough button. See, I don't even have that. They give me like a napkin.
No,
in my show. Yeah, you got a full-fledged cough button,
the real thing.
A big panel. You got cameras everywhere. Oh my gosh, this is a high production deal. I'm shooting mine with the oh my gosh handheld mic in my closet.
Great. It sounds great.
But you can do that. It's changed over time, hasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah,
that's correct. Technology.
You remember when you first came to the studio, you used to have like 4 technicians and a lot.
That's
of
right.
Yeah.
Now just one. You fly.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it down. Once you get it down, that's good.
Yeah.
You guys have got a winning formula here.
Thank you. Just coming back to the C-suite networks, I've been part of it for 4 years. I've met great people. I've heard, again, the conferences. Why is it so important that executives get out of their space every once in a while, whether it's a quarter, every half year, whatever it is, and get to mingle with like-minded people? Why is that so critical?
Well, and not only like-minded, but people who've been there and have also will push your buttons a little bit. I think that's real important for you to do, because if you don't have that, you don't stretch. If you don't, have a little tension there, it's important. So what we do is we vet the community to make sure that you're this tall before you can get in. Mm-hmm. We want a diverse and inclusive group, which we have.
Yep.
But at the same time, you only want to let those that should be in the room in, right. Because otherwise people are selling to you all the time, right. or there's someone's always got an agenda, right. And the key is to try to make it as an inclusive and diverse group as you possibly can, so you can have that kind of dialogue. So that's the biggest thing. These executives need dialogue. They need to have the exchange of ideas. They need to have the exchange of thought, and they need to have input across the board from like-minded individuals. And what I mean by like-minded, not that we want it different, but look, when you're $1 billion company, my problems are different than $1 million company.
Yeah.
And when I'm a fast-growing company, they're different than of a company that's trying to maximize margins, mm-hmm. and rather than grab real estate, in terms of scorched earth kind of thing that you would do with some growth on some businesses. So it's just important for you to get together with those people.
So now let's move to the Hero Club.
Yep.
Yeah, let's talk about that here. And that's just, a year and a half old?
Yeah, it's very, very new. We bought the Hero Club from a guy named Rob Ryan. Rob Ryan started the Hero Club a number of years ago when he sold his business for $20.4 billion. When he sold the business, he set aside a certain percentage for all of his employees, making the single largest number of millionaires ever created in one day. It's never been surpassed. In fact, that purchase price never was surpassed until December of 2016. When Microsoft bought LinkedIn. Right. And, and Rob started pulling a group of people together. You'd call it like a mastermind, mm-hmm. if a lot of people think in the marketplace of what it would be like. And he'd get 20, 30 people together in a room, and he would work with them and try to get them to do the same thing he was doing, usually not at the same scale, but, right. Millions of dollars. And in some cases would tell them, oh, look, what you got, it's not good, so get out of it, shut it down, don't make that mistake. So that's what he was working with, but he can never get scale until he saw what we were doing with the C-suite network. And so he offered it to us, and we took it. And one of the things that we changed, and it's in the book, mm-hmm. in the Hero Factor book, is a pledge. We make every member sign a pledge that says you're going to operate your business with high integrity. And what's really cool that we find with the Hero Factor, and what's the difference between a hero company and a regular company, is really that pledge and the way in which you operate your business. You operate your business that way. And you've got a number of different places along the chart of kinds of businesses. And on page 12, we talk about that. And we notice that hero businesses, they gross more dollars than normal good businesses. They make more money. They have higher engaged employees. They have customers who like them more than other companies, and they have vendors who want to work with them. And it's kind of where good to great leaves off, is where the hero factor kicks in. But you've got good companies, you've got wannabes, you've got the what I would call the loser companies. You've also got good operational companies like GE or Walmart.
Right.
They're high on operations but low on hero factor. They're low on being a hero business. And then you've got the do-gooders. High on hero factor,
right.
high on great values, but real low on operational skill.
Right. I mean, they're not keeping an eye on the dashboard.
Exactly. And that doesn't do you much good if you don't make any money, because making money is what makes the world go round. Okay. Right. And no matter what you do, whether you're a church, synagogue, right. or a big for-profit business, if you don't make money, you can't keep the doors open. And so it's important for you to have, good cash flow, good operations, good money. And you got to make some profit in order to, to spread the gospel, so to speak.
So, what you're pointing out is such a critical point, and that is, yes, a business has to be grounded. There has to be the foundation on how it generates revenue. Yet, there still has to be the EQ side to the IQ side. There still has to be the emotional side. There still has to be aspirational values built in.
Yeah, you talk about what are your walkaway values. Like, so if you go to the herofactorbook.com, I'll give you a free assessment that you can assess your business, and you can take through an exercise of where your business sets in on that. And then it takes you through exercises of what is your walkaway values. What are the things that you're not willing to negotiate as a business owner about the way you operate with other companies? Because there comes a time in your business where someone will offer you money and you don't like them or you don't respect them. But yet there's a lot of money right there. And sometimes that becomes a real question, do I take it? And if you're run like a hero company, you say no, you walk away from it. And because that's a walk-away value for you. So what are those non-negotiables? What are those things? And then what are the things that are in between that you kind of got to think about? Right. You know, it's real important for you to paint the vision and then be able to pick a side. I don't care. If you want to be an operational company, if you want to be like a GE Walmart, you're making good money on the bottom line, but you're low on values, okay, I get it. I'm okay with that. But pick it. Decide that's what you're going to be. If you're going to be a hero factor company, if you're going to be a hero company, then by gosh, set your sights on that and do it. Or a good company. Or if you want to be a do-gooder, then understand you're never going to make any money. Now you're going to go have great values. You're going to get out there. You're going to hustle. You're going to be doing a lot of bake sales and a lot of good things, but you'll never make any real money. And I don't care. Just pick the side and understand what it is. Yeah.
You know what I enjoy most about our relationship is how transparent you are. Yeah. And you talk about it in the book. Yeah. Your cadence. I love it. And Think Big, Act Bigger. What's your cadence? Yeah. And be true to it. Yeah. Don't be wishy-washy. You can't be A on Monday and B on Tuesday. Be straight. Be yourself.
Yeah, it's tough though sometimes because, even in my family relationships, I'm very transparent, and I'm probably too direct sometimes about.
Hey, you're on there. There's 50,000 people listening. Don't get into more trouble.
Yeah, but how we have to be careful sometimes. I'm always true to myself, but I have to be careful about my tone sometimes. I have to,
you're a big guy.
I am. I'm 6 foot. 6'3". First time I met my wife. Great grandmother, she's 4'11", and my wife is 5'1", 105 pounds. I'm 6'3", 260 some pounds. And Grandma Agnes looked up at me, and she looked at Tammy. She looked way up at me. She looked at Tammy. She looked way up at me. She turned back to Tammy and said, "Isn't he bigger than necessary?" That's been my life. I got to tell you, I never thought I was a big guy until I look in pictures. Like you got a picture of me on this poster, and the ad and for the magazine.
Like, boom!
Oh my gosh, I'm a big guy. He's a big guy. I'm probably a little too heavy there, but that's okay. But when I first time I ever did, I noticed I was big. I was playing rugby. I was playing at a pretty professional level back 35 years ago. And there was a picture of me on the back row in the rugby team, and I was like one of the biggest guys there. And I went, "Who's that big guy?" And then I realized, "Oh, that's me!
It's me!
It's me!" And that was the first time. That was my first realization I was a big guy.
Mind Your Business with Yitzchok Saftlas, along with Jeffrey Hayzlett. Jeffrey, thank you for that. I don't even know how you find the time. He's flying all over the world, but he makes time for us. Thank you for joining me here.
Absolutely. It's just a couple blocks. I just have to walk right down the street, so it's really
That's right.
Nice.
You have you have a footprint in a bunch of places, but your New York footprint is there by Damon John?
Yeah, Damon John from Shark Tank and I share an office together.
That's cool.
Yeah, Damon's great. He's like my little brother, except he's just a different color. That's a different thing. But he's like my little brother, too.
When you're on stage, you get to talk openly about how we're different and how we're unique, and yet at the same time how we're all humans, how we're brothers. Yeah, I've seen you done the spiel on stage. It's always, it's
an important thing for us to remember. Look, obviously a big white guy from from West Virginia is where I was born. Grew up all over the U.S., but where I went to school, my dad was in the Air Force. And so, and quite frankly, we lived in trailer parks a lot of times because the trailer parks were right outside the Air Force bases, right? Mm-hmm. And he was an enlisted guy, so they don't pay a lot of money, so we couldn't live on base, couldn't afford the base housing. So I lived with a lot of people of color and a lot of people of different races. And so Those were my brothers and sisters when I was growing up. So I didn't know the difference between a lot of different things. But, but I didn't have always the diversity of other things like religion and exposure all the time to other people. And so, I remember when I first saw the first person that had Down syndrome, and then the next day I saw another person with Down syndrome and couldn't figure out it wasn't the same person. But I asked questions to figure that out, quite frankly, growing up, I grew up a Baptist. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know, maybe there was these things called Presbyterians and Methodists, but, you just learn different ways. But I've always been very curious. And I always think if you just are honest about it, and you do things, then you don't know. It's like it's like I've gone and spoken at your conference, and I brought my daughter, and I brought another woman executive, and of course I called you ahead of time and said,
"No, you were great."
I said, my daughter dresses a little differently, and my executive females in my office, what should they wear? How should we best respect you? And it's not to say we don't, we're catering or anything. It's, to me, it's a thing of respect. And I do the same thing with a customer or with a friend. If you came over to my house, is there a certain kind of wine you want? Are you allergic to whatever? Those are the kind of things I think we should have more of in this world.
So true.
Because we're all the same. So the more you travel around the world, and I've traveled all over the world doing business, in every country in the world. I just got back from India. You find out, we're all the same. Yeah, we're all the same. We some of us are fatter, shorter. Some of us are smarter. Some of us are dumber.
It's another line that you always say. It's such a great line. An executive does not need to be the smartest person in the room.
Ever. Yeah.
They need to be the most strategic.
Always.
Could you talk about that? I love when you say
you
it.
have to be the most strategic person. Your job is to, three things the CEO has to work on. You have to work on the vision. You have to know the vision of the business. You have to own that and then get everybody to buy in, drink the Kool-Aid on it, or drink the champagne, or get on the bandwagon, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to offend people, but, I say drink the Kool-Aid. And HR people yell at me about that all the time. I don't get along with HR people, but anyway, I try my best.
Corporate.
Corporate. I hate corporate. And we make a joke of that. We hate corporate. And someone says, well, you are corporate. Yeah, I hate the man. But then the other thing they have to worry about is talent and numbers. The numbers, market penetration, size, growth, profitability, everything. And customer satisfaction, all those numbers you have to kind of keep track of. And it's not just the bottom line. It's all those numbers of the business. But you have to be strategic. You have to be the one who's thinking out there. And you have to be the one that pushes the buttons, that's a little edgy. A lot of times you think a CEO is crazy. Well, that's their job, is to take it from that point to A to B, but they tell you we're going to go way over here to C just to get you to B. Because you got to drag everybody along. You got to when you're throwing the ball 300 feet or 400 feet, you have to throw it as if you're throwing it 600 feet. Yeah, exactly.
And then it gets to
it's kind of like being a coach remember when you're in high school and you did some gym? Did you do that? Remember
you're
that?
putting me on the spot.
Yeah, you did a little bit. Yeah, you did.
I look it?
Yeah, well, we
it's been a while,
but when
decades,
you did that,
yes.
and the coach would say, do these laps. You get done with the laps, and you're exhausted, and you fall over. Remember that? And you'd be laying there on the court, and then he says, get up and do another one.
You're like, what?
And I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Well, you didn't die. That's what we're supposed to do in business every day. That's, as a leader, you're supposed to know the limitations of your team. How do you take them to the edge and then beyond? Because that's where you get to growth. And so being strategic and understanding where you're going to go. And sometimes it doesn't always work out, but you just want to keep moving and keep having that dream.
I love the honor of interviewing C-level executives and sharing their great advice and perspective on Mind Your Business. I'd love to get your feedback. Post it in the comments below and subscribe. You'll never miss an edition of Mind Your Business.